want to see how you place the foil. I want to see if you place them near the scalp. Who's actually done a foil on a human? Here.
Can't remember.
Okay, have you? You have not, yes? Do not. I remember you saying something about having not. Oh, because of your model? Was it? No. I just remember you saying I've never placed a foil. Did you place them on your doll?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Where's Nicole? Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to properly place a foil, how to get it close to the scalp. But I think what I'd like to see first is each of you place a foil. I'd like to see where you're at. And so you're just going to put one in my doll, in the mohawk basic, right here. And you'll each place a foil, and then I'll see where you're at, and then I'm going to show you what I do, tips and tricks. And then depending where you're at, depends how this class goes. If we need to practice placing foils and getting them close to the scalp, then we need to start there with neatness and how to place foils. Otherwise, we'll step to placements. But I just kind of need to see where you're at. So, can you get the mannequin conditioner down?
Yeah.
You know where it is? Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to have each of you place one foil right here. So who wants to go first?
So I'm gone.
Is my phone?
Huh?
I need, all of you are going to place one foil. You're going to weave one foil, and I just want to see what you do, how you do it. What I mean by that is, if what you're doing you like, you have to do it over and over and over again so that nothing's awkward. Meaning, each of you have a moment that is awkward, whether it was this, like this, you guys are, and then you're holding hair, and it looks like this is a struggle for you, that you're putting this on. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can do that. Another thing is that when you're getting this, you can put this down, but it's an added step. So I want you to think about, you're going to place 100 of these. Every second matters because you have 45 minutes to an hour to place 100 foils. If you think about that. I'm thinking on your max, right? But you want your foil placement to be, at this point, we want to get it down to each foil less than a minute. Which if you do a full head, that gives you 60 foils in a full head. That's not a lot. So one, your foils have to matter more with how you place them, which is what we'll talk about with placements. But today what I want to work on is, we're going to focus on the easiest place of the head, which is the mohawk. Not here, but from the occipital up in the sides. And you're just going to practice mastering how you place a foil, getting it close to the scalp, and making everything that you just did seamless without thinking about how am I going to get this hair to stick? How am I going to get it close to the scalp? Which means that you have to place 300 foils, at least, in a row, in a row, in a row. So my goal right now is I'm going to place 2 foils. We're talking about all the tips and tricks on 2 foils. You're going to take your mohawk, and you're going to mohawk foil, just to understand how to place the foil. I don't want you to use a mohawk every single time, but it is the easiest placement to learn how to put foil. Does that make sense? And in the meantime, by our next foiling class, when we're building on foils, I want you to have that foil less than a minute, and then we can talk about putting them on a diagonal, putting them on where the sections that we're going to use, and you're going to research foil placements and come back with how you're going to use them. Does that make sense? Okay, so I want you kind of around me, over me, wherever you need to be to see. And I'm just going to go from where you started. The first thing, which I sectioned this, mohawk, and the first thing is when you're starting out, you never want your section to be wider than your 2 fingers. Now, can you foil wider than your 2 fingers? Yes. But while you're starting and you're trying to perfect how to place the foil, this is going to be where I want you to live, okay? Yes. when you're doing this, you're gonna take, and it's a doll. So we know that we could sit here for 10 minutes trying to get a perfect line. But you want this above where you're placing your foil to be out of the way. Do you see how I'm like pulling that flat? And then your section that you're going to be using, which that's not cooperative, so let's see what's going on. Also, like here, some of this hair is going forward and some of this hair is going backward. Everybody's hair changes. Look down for me. You see here? You see right here? This grows backwards, this grows forwards. You're gonna stand behind from here back, and when you meet this point, you're gonna start foiling from the front. Does that make sense? Kitty looked up. Do you see here where her growth pattern changes? It's right about there. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you want to be foiling from underneath the growth pattern, not pulling against it. Okay? So whenever that sew-in changes for the doll, you're going to move to the front and foil from the front. Can you grab me one of my tooth ones, the metal tooth one? It's the rose gold clip, but with teeth. Maybe that will hold this better. Okay. Okay. So this is, let's say this is the section that we're using, and whatever the section size between foils that we're using needs to be the same everywhere, right? So whatever you decide it's going to be, this much, whatever, that's a whole different lesson in itself. But whatever you're deciding it's going to be needs to be consistent. But once you take that down, what I saw you all do was take the whole section in your hair. Now this is bigger than the sections you guys use, but I did that for drama. And then you just weave. The problem with that is that you're weaving the whole section. Do you see how deep down they go? If they go that deep down, then the foil, when it places, is going to stay there. That's as high as it can go. And then when it comes over, do you see how I'm already away from the scalp? So the first step, once you section, is to skim off the top. Take 1/8 of an inch section, as if you were going to slice. And if you look now, you see how much closer to the scalp I'm going to be. Does that make sense? So that's one step to getting it closer. When you're doing this, you want to be sure that this section doesn't have a piece coming from down below, that line is nice and clean. And then you're going to weave or slice. This would be ready to go. You're going to weave. When you're weaving, you want to use tension. The more tension you have here, the easier this is going to bounce. The less tension, you see what happens there? Okay, so you want to hold nice tension and bounce evenly. Now, you can bounce or you can circle. Which one are you doing? Which one are you taught? You weren't. Okay, so what not to do? Digging, because you're going to dig down below you want. You want this to be perfectly flat. And then for consistency, I mean, you're gonna weave fat weaves today, you're going to weave small weaves today. What my goal is that you understand that the way that you bounce and move your comb through is how you create a weave. And if you move faster, and you move bigger, you're chunkier. And if you move slower and smaller, you're more micro. Does that make sense? So I want you to do them all until you figure it out. And then I want you to, once you figure that out, then I want you to create 10 of the same. 10 of the same. Until you know, today I'm doing a micro weave. And now I'm doing a chunky slice, or a chunkier weave. Now I'm doing a slice so that you can consistently create the end result you want. Does that make sense? So it can be done bouncing or circles, but no digging. Okay? So tension. Then you're going to take this and you're going to lift it up. So I saw one of you lift it up, but you want to avoid holding it here. When you elevate this up, you're going to place that foil, and it gives you lots of room to place that foil. Okay? Now from here, I use these two fingers to hold this. I take my foil, and I saw that, I noticed two of you did it, I don't know if most of you did it, that you opened up the flap and you slid it back down. So you want that flap on the outside.
It could be. Once I used to do it on the outside, and then I think my teacher taught me she liked to do it on the inside, and then I started doing it. So I don't remember the reason.
When you're a newer stylist, being on the outside helps you give a shimmy. So it's a great place to be. But when you do it up here, look at what I have to do. I'm working with the flimsy foil. When I place the foil down here, I place the comb, and all my fingers can fold it over. So it's just faster. And then just slide like this. So that's one thing that could save you some time. The next thing is you're going to hold it up, and you're going to pull this down. Now when I pull this down, I want you to take your comb, and I want you to follow the curve of the head. Watch this when it comes out over here. Come over my shoulder and look. You want this to come like this. Do you see how this is touching everywhere? I'm going to show you the difference, but I'm showing you the way to do it. I'm going to hold my comb and use my pinchers to grab. This tension is what's... Oh, that's the tail. This tension right here that I have is allowing this to not move. And then I'm going to tack and move my fingers. Do you see where my tack is? It's not at the top. I'm not going to take my fully loaded brush at the top. I'm going to go below that. And I'm just going to get a really secure amount of product. It's not going anywhere. Now everything you do is about like-handedness and not pulling your foil out. So the motion, this is a dramatic motion, but when you pull down your hand underneath the foil, it's going up. Okay? So not holding the foil, flat. Then when your tails have product, take these tails, lay them up, tack them. If it's really long hair, you lay them up, you lay them down, you lay them up. If it's really long hair, you do just start to spaghetti. You want to avoid spaghettiing at all costs because you're looping it around and then it's swelling and it tangles, and that's when you get like a knot at the end. So if you can avoid that, by all means. Now, I want to get that top portion, right? So and you want to make sure this is nice and saturated. So I'm going to take my thumb and my forefinger and I'm going to pull that right back up. You see that little slack I got? I'm going to shimmy that right down. What you want to avoid doing is using a full brush, and you want to start bottom up. Make sense? So next, when you're folding, when you go to fold this, often I see people do this. What's happening to the back side that's touching the head? It's pulling. So you want to push up and fold. That will make all the difference, that push up and fold. So protect that top that you're trying to not pull out. So it looks like this. You can push it up against it. At this point is when you would stick that comb if you need to. And then what you want to avoid doing is, what does the lightener do inside the foil? Swells. If we make this perfect, tight, compact foil, where does it swell? Oh, it swells.
The top.
It swells out. So to avoid a bleed, don't wipe it with your comb. Just tap your corners and move on. And your corners should be at the line of your section. The reason that is watch what happens when I move it over here. You see how I've pulled that corner out? That's either going to bleed or it's going to be brown. It's not going to like it. Okay, I'm going to do it again a little faster. Unless you have questions. Did you see some things that you can be doing? Because you all have the idea. It's now I want you to place preferably 100 foils today. I'll cut them all for you. Yeah, she said. What'd you say? In 2 minutes?
No, go ahead.
You can also like flatten that out if you want to. I do. It's just it may be a bad habit. I'm not sure. And this conditioner does not do justice. But when you're thinking of lightener, this really should be like frosting a cake. You should not see the hair through it. It should be coating it. If you see it through it, it's like when you frost the cake and it pulls the cake. Yes, not what you want to see. And I do realize this is conditioner, so it's not as realistic. But once you practice, then we'll put the lightener on. But we got to practice enough that we're going to be successful with the lightener on your doll. So the damage is worth it. Okay, so these should move. And if they're secure enough, they should move without issue.
Okay.
So let's see what happens here. This one moves. So they move. Yours are a little too deep of weaves. But does that make sense why now? So you're going to skim with the top. So you're going to set up, you're going to do a mohawk, you're going to avoid the nape because that's not the easiest place to place it. You're going to go from the occipital all the way to the front. Yeah? All right.